OOC!
Hey.
You look like you have something to say. Do you?
Yes, I certainly do. So,
What have we got there, mate?
I have Wrestling with the Devil by Lex Luger. I read this book many years ago. It was released in 2013 by the good people of Tyndale Momentum.
I don't know. They kind of sound like cunts to me.
Shut it down.
Really show us, Steve. Give us a quick shot of it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
So yeah, I covered a little bit of it at the WrestleMania 10 review. But I said I go back.
You uncovered Lex a little bit.
Oh yeah, like I said, I go back and reread it because it's been a while. Didn't take me long.
I was just looking at it. It seems like a pretty small book, and I had a quick look, a quick goosey at the font. It seems quite big font with quite big spacing.
Verdana 16 there.
It's a joke. I mean, we're talking.
Not Lex, though.
Is it?
No.
I mean, he's had a pretty long wrestling career.
13 years.
He should have more to say than that.
Yeah, than 200 fucking pages. You'd think so, yeah? It is the most phoned in. No, it's not. No, I tell a lie. It's not the most phoned in wrestling book I've read. That honor would go to Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
wow,
I was
okay.
thinking Justin Roberts.
No, he was.
The Rock's book.
Talk
of
about
bollocks.
fucking. Like, Justin Roberts is. It's kind of like flogging a dead horse. Yeah, that's it's like he's got nothing really to say, but he spends a long time saying it.
Hogan, he phoned it in.
Completely. I'll do that at some I'll reread that at some stage, but it's probably
Whenever you're too happy, Steve. Take him down a peg.
But Hulk Hogan's had a relatively interesting long career, I would think.
Relatively,
he's done a few things.
Yeah.
It's probably about, I can't remember, probably about 200 pages, and it's not like the Lex kind of A5 size. This will be A5. Hulk Hogan is like A6. So
It's a pamphlet.
Yeah, but anyway, so that was phoned in. Stone Cold, everyone knows the Stone Cold biography is a joke, and that was phoned in as well. I haven't read The Rock yet. You keep telling me that it's
so bad.
Oh, is it you telling me that it's terrible?
It's horrific.
Yeah.
So tell us about...
Okay, you want
this is the one that's in The Rock says in the third person, yeah?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Half of it is him talking as Dwayne, and half of it is written as if it's The Rock talking to you. It's so bad.
Like, it's only my prejudice against The Rock that prevents me reading that book, because I love all wrestling books, even the shit ones, but I can't. I don't think I'll ever
Even
bring
Jericho's
myself.
second book.
Oh, that's we'll get to that.
Politics and fuzzy.
Fucking fuzzy. So
So tell us about Lexi.
And I look back now and how I even got into wrestling that I go into is, it's not that all the football players love wrestling. I mean, all of us guys did, but none of us really thought of doing it. And when I said I was going to do wrestling, they thought I was crazy.
right, so 200 pages, of which 50 are pre-wrestling.
A quarter.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself, is that bad? Is that good? It's kind of middle of the road for a wrestling book, actually. It's not the worst. And I'll just get an example of a good, in terms of not getting too much into their childhood, would be Eric Bischoff. I always come back to that. It's a fucking great book. So anyway, 50 pages. Of course, he's great at everything, and he goes into it when he's young. He was the best basketball player. He's the best football player. He was great at running. He was really
His
strong.
cakes never fell.
What?
His cakes never fell.
Very popular. Everyone loved him. Blah blah blah. Boring. Nobody cared. Couple of interesting points. No steroids during his WWF run.
Watching him, the size of him.
I know. Admits to it during his WCW run, and I mean, you don't have to cut this out if you want, but a splicey of pre and post, or WWF and WCW, not like making it obvious that he's much bigger in WCW, because I don't know, that didn't ring true.
I mean, in like 97, he was ginormous.
He was, I would say, the same in 93.
Like, I don't believe he wasn't doing the roids. There's no way.
Man, he was on the Ico Pro.
That was it.
He's the best
That
stuff
was
going.
it. But I did like, sorry, go on.
Oh, he was a really big footballer. Do you know, he played for Georgia.
He played for some Canadian team.
Ah, that doesn't count.
No, and he did play for the Buffalo Bills, maybe. You know, I half read this
Did he
stuff
stick his
pre-wrestling.
dick between his legs?
Who'd fuck who?
Don't ask me what teams he played for. Sorry,
Okay.
I know you went to Penn State University, and then you went to somewhere in Miami. But like all that stuff is just warbly. I don't care what you did before wrestling. He met his wife at university, Peggy, who was in the
The Survivor Series 93.
Survivor Series 93, yes, Jay?
Oh, in the intro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with his 2 kids, I think. So she was in that.
Oh, she was wearing like her...
Like a tracksuit or something
but
like
it was
that.
a Sunday best.
Yeah, but that was Peggy pre-Elizabeth. He goes into not a huge amount of detail, but he at least dwells on it for a few pages, his relationship with Liz. Basically, he's quite honest in terms of his drug use and his alcohol use, and that with Liz and how unhealthy it was, and he recounts when she died. All I'm going to say this, all right? He mentions out of nowhere in the book that Liz became quite clumsy when she started taking the drugs and the pills, and her friend noticed it as well and discussed it with Lex. At one point she tripped over and banged her face. Another point she was getting out of a car and with a pizza and tripped, and the pizza went everywhere. Then Lex got in an argument with Liz, which people noticed, called the cops. It just seemed a little bit strange to me that he was talking about how clumsy she was on the pills and alcohol, and then went into how the cops were called and he was kind of suspected of beating her. I'll leave it at that.
So what do you think is the subtext of that?
I think he was possibly beating her and was trying to make an excuse for why she had bumps and bruises around that time.
Do you think this is like kind of a legal, kind of an official document that he's putting out here?
The book?
Yeah, like this is
His story and he's sticking to it?
Yeah.
Probably. Anyway, there's something a bit odd about that, and a little, it wasn't
suspicious.
Yeah. But that's the bad stuff. Well, there is no good stuff.
The end.
There was one good day, right?
That day he found like 20 quid on the ground. Is it?
You know what the most frustrating thing about this book? A 13-year wrestling career. You know, he spends probably 100 pages talking about the wrestling stuff before it gets into the bad kind of pills and alcohol stuff. And he goes into no detail. It's like as if he doesn't care. He admits it. He was not a wrestling fan before. He didn't even barely know what wrestling was before he basically got injured at football and needed money.
Kind of same thing after he joined as well.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And he just touches on things, and that's a really, like, say, what's Lex most famous for, in your opinion?
SummerSlam 93, not winning. Lex Express tour. At the time on Nitro he beat Hogan.
Yeah.
Being around when Liz died.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
the 911 call. No, the correct answer is turning up on the first Nitro.
Oh yeah, that too, yeah.
I mean, we got a page and a half about that. Like a page and a half, for fuck's sake.
What else can you say? Like, I wore my best white shirt and I walked out and had my hands on my hips like Braden Walker, you know?
Okay.
I found my best shirt without a collar and off I go.
In all fairness, that's a huge moment. Like, crazy huge moment.
But he doesn't critique it, if you know what I mean. He doesn't talk about why it's a big moment. He just said Sting rang him up and said, here, Bischoff wants to talk to you. I'll talk to you. And then Vince said, yeah, we'll postpone that contract signing. I'll go and sign with Bischoff because he want money or guaranteed money or more money. But the one thing I did find interesting was when they went to break, he squared off against Hogan when he got in the ring on the first Nitro. He smiled at Hogan when they went to break. And Hogan said, wipe that grin off your face or I'll knock it off. You're stealing money from me and my family right now.
What?
Because people are going to think it's a work and Hogan wants to make money off this feud. I actually thought, makes
Sure,
perfect
Linda's
sense.
getting half of it anyways.
Yeah. Then one thing he mentions, his WrestleMania 9 match, which we've
With
covered.
Perfect, yeah.
At Perfect, neither of them had a clue what to do during the match. Perfect said he drew a blank to Lex during the match. So Lex had to lead him through the match. And if you recall what I said on the review, along the lines of Lex dragged Perfect kicking and screaming to his best ever match. So,
I do remember
I do,
this.
yeah.
Steve!
That was
Vindication after
66 episodes ago.
how many years ago was that?
it's like 3 or 4.
No, maybe even more than that.
He's like 5-6 years ago.
Does he say anything about his agent? Because he was famous from football, got an agent, and that's how he was able to get a really good deal with WCW and with WWF. Like, get paid way more than other wrestlers would be. And so, along with getting a massive push and being kind of shit, not a great talker, charisma, that kind of thing, he got really well paid. So a lot of wrestlers are resentful to him for that.
No, not really. He mentions that he was looking for more money, but not going into any of those kind of details.
Also, when he signed with Bischoff didn't want to sign him, so I was like, right, he's asking for this much, here, I'll give you less than half of it, because he'll turn me down and battle it. I can say, oh, he turned me down. And he said, yeah, I'll take it. I was like, shit.
I like it.
The second time around, I think the first time around, I'm sure he's happy for the first Nitro, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, a couple of other things. Yeah, there's a page here on him winning the world title against Hogan. Nothing much to say there.
Sorry, so when was this made?
2013.
Oh, wow, okay, so well after his end of his career. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Now, he tried to get back into wrestling for years afterwards, but kept getting arrested and, his life turned into a mess. So, the book starts out with him waking up in the middle of the night, can't move. And then talks a little bit at the end about him and his recovery and getting treated and that. And then we've got the religious stuff.
Oh,
Yeah. You know the way when people start writing him with capital H? You know, that a
Jesus.
lot of that.
Literally.
he's talking about Vince though, right?
Hey! A lot of that. So a lot of pages.
He did beat God. Didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Lot of, a pastor came to meet him in when he was recovering in hospital, and it all went from there. And then the last chapter of the book is called An Invitation to the Journey. You know, that's his sales
He's trying
pitch.
to convert you.
Yeah, that's his sales pitch now.
If you said Church of Lex,
You're on.
Yeah.
You're on. So,
he's of the one true faith, the Western Reformed branch of Presbyterianism.
like, I don't care. I don't care what religion anyone is. Do what you want, right? But don't try and sell it to me. Why? I don't understand born again Christians having the need to sell it on. So, say Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings, but I won't force it on anyone. I'll tell them to watch it, but I'm only asking for 9 hours of their time. Lex is asking
12 hours if they watch the extra.
extended.
Yeah.
Lex is asking for most of your time for the rest of your life.
And then after that as well.
Yeah. And it's like Russo. His book he split between like one it was like Fozzy and Jericho. One chapter wrestling, one chapter religion. Russo's second book wasn't that bad. So Sean doesn't go into it that much in his book, which is a blessed relief. And I don't know. Pun not intended. And then I don't know if Sting has a book, but I would wager it's similar. If he has one or will write one, it's going to be similar to, jumping off a cliff.
He makes Jesus movies.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so common for wrestlers that were really big into drugs and into the scene back in the 80s and 90s, and then they hit a point where they're like, oh shit, I feel really terrible about my entire life and what I've done, so I'll just pour everything into this.
Which is fine. Do it.
Yeah, but keep it to yourself.
Yes,
And
keep
how
it to yourself.
bad were you
Religion is
acting?
meant to be personal.
Yeah. How bad were you acting beforehand that you had to just milestone change your entire life and become a weirdo?
I can only imagine what these lads are getting up to. Every single night they're on the road.
Yeah.
Running, jumping, forearming people.
But at least Lex and Sting are living the religious life. Sean is a fucking hypocrite. When it suits him, he's a born-again Christian, and then he'll just go off and be a dick. And this, he's still a dick. Sean will always be a dick.
Sandbagged when I told him I enjoyed his 3-week heel turn with Hogan. He's like, yeah. Sandbagged your jokes.
I know.
They were solid.
They
as
were
well.
good.
They were good jokes. Good joke.
How dare he not laugh about how terrible he looked?
I reached a real low point back in probably 03, 04, 05, before I ended up actually in jail on drug charges.
Right.
Well, my life, even though it seemed like I had it all going on, was a train wreck.
So in summary, he and his writer friend John D. Hollis knocked this out in a fucking week. Lazy shit. And don't read this. Do not buy this book. I love Lex, but fuck you. I wanted a Bret Hart 500-page epic. I didn't want this. You wrote it on the fucking toilet.
Okay. Sounds bollocks. I would not read that.
But I enjoyed the review of it. So.
The most important thing, how many pages does he dedicate to the WBF?
He mentions it half a paragraph, maybe.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Rex, don't tease me.
So yeah. Anyway, but thanks for buying it for me, Jay.
Thumbs up, Stephen.
Yeah, I'm delighted.
Sorry.
No, I'm delighted I read it, and I read it in 2 days.
So you can find Lex now. He's on like Pawn Stars. He's hawking his robe. Yeah, you can see him.
Really?
Yeah, and he gets at least £7 for it. Yeah.
Good man, Lex. Good man, Lex. So anyway, yeah,
That'll get you 7 cases of ICO.
So yeah, you don't need to put these book reviews on the show. Just, Nugger you.
It'll make, that was a fun episode of OSW playlist there. Yeah, that was cool. Man, thank you so much, Stephen. Lex, we hardly knew you. Still don't, by the sound of it. So it's a goodbye from V1.
Take a boo.
OSE.
Bidoo.
And myself, Jay Hunter. And remember, a winner is you.
Me, and enemy, meow.